From the Multiply family of churches, we are Behind Open Doors, a podcast designed to take you behind the scenes, discovering what it takes to multiply disciples, leaders, and new churches. We are located in the U.S., the Hampton Roads region of Virginia. Visit us at multiplythechurch.com. My name is Aaron Denny. I am the Executive Director of the Multiply family of churches, and I'm here with our Director of Missions, John Slinker.
Hey.
And I'm also here with one Director of Media, Robert O'Brien.
What's up?
Hey, Robbie.
Oh. I took so long. I was going to do the hey-ho. It's all right.
That's all good.
I blame myself for trying it.
Hey, Robbie, we're glad you're here, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like you haven't been here, but you've been here the whole time.
Yeah.
And you got a microphone today, and I'm excited to hear some of your input on these reflections over our first full season. This is episode number 16 of season 1, the Behind Open Doors podcast.
We made it to the Sweet 16.
It's the Sweet 16. We did indeed.
Okay.
Speaking of 16, you know my daughter's going to be 16 next year.
Stop it.
And she's going to be driving in March.
Wow.
I'm a little frightened.
Dude.
By that.
Yeah. At least, I don't know. She's got a big vehicle, right?
She will. She's a for those of you who don't know, I won't name her name.
I think she'll be a fine driver.
I think she will. She's very responsible.
Yeah.
But she is a 5'3" or 4" blonde-headed girl. She's amazing. She's a little tougher than she looks, for sure. But you know what she wants? You'll love this. She wants like a jacked up F-250, like probably diesel. She doesn't know what diesel is, but
sounds cool.
Yeah, just sounds
gets people
cool, right?
going.
Yeah, but that's what she wants for her vehicle.
Yes.
That's not going to happen until she could buy it for herself. But her first vehicle will certainly be one that sits off the ground, though.
You need to go down to, I know I think you guys did do this. Did you go to the monster truck spot, Gravedigger?
Oh, yeah,
OBX.
yeah. Yes, we did that last summer.
Yeah,
it
good.
was amazing.
Yeah.
We actually rode in the one that
same
goes around the track.
Have you done that, Robbie?
I have not, no. I've been to the rallies, but I've never been there before.
Oh, okay. All right.
Digger's Dungeon is what it's called down
Nice.
there in, I don't know, on the way to the Outer Banks somewhere off of one.
They got a sweet spot. It's not far from here if you want to go hang out. That's a cool spot.
We go to the diner, have a burger, and ride a monster truck together.
Yep.
Yeah, you could even ride the little kid one.
I was just thinking about that. We could all race. Maybe they could be our first sponsor.
Yeah, you should have seen Kenan on that thing though. Like when he was driving the little truck, he was loving it.
I bet that's
great.
cool. So, driving.
Driving is happening. Sweet 16. We're back to the reflections on season 1. But, this is a bonus episode, so we're going to be a little bit loose and out of sorts for this episode. We just wanted to look back on the season and just what are the things that we enjoyed? What are the things that we are still maybe thinking about and reflecting on? And honestly, we really want to hear some feedback from you over these next couple months. We're going to take a break. We're going to take these reflections and go into some planning for the next season. And man, we'd really love to hear from you, the listener, over these next couple months. You could go to the actual website, multiplythechurch.com, and fill out the form at the bottom and give us some insight there. You could go to the Facebook feedback page and give it there. You could email us, however you want to get it to us. If you could, you know what they could do? They could have a conversation face to face with one of us if it's possible.
Why in the world would we not ever think of that?
Oh, it drives me nuts, man. People don't talk to each other nowadays. Y'all need to talk to each other.
Why would we talk to people when we have the internet?
Right, exactly.
I thought we were doing a podcast so that we didn't have to talk to anybody. They could just hear our voices.
That's a good point.
Through technology and make it seem like we were talking with them.
Well, you and I are face to face. Robbie's here face to face. We are together. We are not remote recording.
I hope you do reach out and chat with us. I've already got, I think, 5 or 6 coffee dates set for the first couple weeks of January because I don't know. I love meeting with people and having that opportunity. And so that's why this season has been really fun for me, because we've gotten to listen to a lot of people's stories and you get to know people more.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I just feel like I run out of time when it gets really busy at this time of year. So I got to push all my dates to like second, third week of January.
Yeah.
And I know that's in the middle of a bide, but hanging out with people, chatting, catching up, doing some discipleship or whatever happens, and that gives me energy.
Yeah.
So,
well, some of the people that we definitely want to hear from are the people that Spotify told us are the devotees. Right? The devotee is basically how our average listener has been described. It says this. It says your listener's podcast personality is the devotee. All right. When your fans love a podcast, they really love it.
I feel like this is such a condescending compliment.
No,
from
not at all.
Spotify.
Not at all. They're quick to support new releases and play their favorite episodes over and over.
Yeah.
So when you love it, you really love it. Like
Yeah.
you go like stage 4 clinger, love it.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And we love you clingers out there. And so we want to hear from you. If you're one of those devotees, that's what we want. Is some good feedback from you during these next
That's what
couple
the conference room at Spotify wanted to call this listener, but they couldn't for copyright
clinger?
purposes. Yeah,
Yeah,
the clingers.
the
The
clinger.
stage 4 clinger represents.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we love it. We love it. We love it. We love you, and we want to hear from you. So, looking back on a couple things, man, just some of those stats are actually kind of fun. I'll read a couple of them. When you got that Spotify Wrapped thing a few weeks ago for your personal listening habits. Well, we got them for our episode listening habits, and Robbie pulled them up for us, and it says that we created 1,136 minutes of new content. That's pretty cool.
That's crazy.
That's good. Now, technically, for us, it wasn't new content, right? But for the person listening, it was probably new, right? So that's good. It was actually then that means it was 80%, more than 80% of other creators in our category, which is religion and spirituality.
Boom.
So we are content creating machines over here.
Yep.
20%.
Number one.
Yes.
We're the best.
Number one.
Created more content.
So here's a negative one that we'll go into planning mode on. 14% listened to most of our episodes. That means that like people either got bored with us, or they didn't have an hour and a half to listen, or it wasn't lawn mowing season.
Yep.
Or something.
Pro tip: this is like something that changed my life. Watch YouTube videos, listen to your podcasts 1.5 times the speed.
Yes.
If you're really interested and you want to still get some of the vibe and the ambiance and just the feel, 1.2 times speed is really good. It takes away all the like little pauses and really helps.
Yeah, that is a really good point. Actually, I didn't think about that. I don't ever do that. By the way,
You don't ever pause.
I don't ever.
I don't ever pause either.
I don't. No, I don't ever listen on 1.5 speed or whatever. I really don't.
Me neither.
Really?
I don't. There's something
I
that's.
can't listen to myself at real speed. It drives me crazy.
You talk too slow. Or
I feel like I take so long to process a freaking thought that I just cannot listen to myself. I feel like such an idiot. But hey,
that's hilarious.
that's how it is.
Yeah. Well, imagine how we all feel.
Yeah, thanks. That's great. As you were saying.
That's true. It means that possibly we need to shorten some things, right? Maybe people like shorter episodes. I don't know.
I don't think that's news to us, though. Really.
I mean, it also depends on the person who's listening. Because so like you joked and said, lawn mowing season. I usually listen to podcasts if I'm mowing lawn, but the biggest way that I listen to podcasts is if I'm driving. Okay. Like if I know I'm going to be out for a couple hours running errands, I'll put something on, and
Me too. Yeah.
and during the course of my drive, at some
In
point,
and
even
out.
if I'm stopping and starting, I'm still listening to the whole thing.
Right.
Yeah. Do you so that's in your car. Do you guys ever listen like while you're driving out and about, but put it in like a headphone and then like keep it on when you go into the store?
Yeah.
At all? Do you ever do that? I don't do that often, but it's the days that I don't want to talk to anybody.
Right. If it's really good,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. If I don't want to, if I know I'm going to be walking around inside of Walmart for 20 minutes and I don't want to stop, then I'll go back and I'll bring AirPods with me and listen or something.
Now, because we live in an urban area, I definitely keep one ear out.
yeah,
See, I don't.
you got.
Oh,
to.
you don't? Really? Okay,
No.
you go all in, huh?
Go all in.
You are
Drown
a
everybody
true
else.
millennial.
I bet you cast lots too. What is this? Just without a care over here.
Yep. All right. Well,
I care for you, Robbie. That's why.
yeah. All right. So continuing on our reflections, we were shared a lot of different times, and the primary way that people like to share this podcast is through a direct link, and then text messages. So whether it's sharing in an email, actually Facebook is on here as well, but so people like to share and spread the word, and you do so primarily through a direct link or a text message. So,
Good to go.
Text message surprised me, to be honest. I thought that would be lower on the list.
I don't know. If a family member says, "Hey, can you send me the episode about such and such?" and it doesn't have to be a family member. That's weird. But yeah, I would probably text that to them. I wouldn't send it to them in an email or whatever.
Yeah.
I'd go grab it from.
That's how I've
Spotify
always done
and
it.
then just share it via text message. So, yeah.
I've
That
always shared
makes
stuff
sense.
through text like that. I don't.
Always.
That's
This is your number one.
how we've always.
So we've always done.
Should we explain that one? We should
That's how
explain that joke.
That's always.
That's a pretty
we've
inside
always
joke, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I feel like
But if
everybody
you-
would understand it.
If you are in a church that's older than 10 years old, you know exactly what we're talking about.
Should we just leave the cliffhanger there
No,
and
I mean,
give the
it's-
answer at episode 1 of season 2?
I don't think it's that serious.
I think people are hanging onto the edge of their seats right now.
Yeah, I doubt it.
No, you're right. So, Robbie, what do we mean by that's how we've always done it?
Man, some people I feel like a lot of people get set in their ways. Some people get too comfortable. I can say that from experience because I get too comfortable with certain things too.
Mm-hmm.
And so, hey, sorry, man.
That was a really quick
Man.
agreement. Yep.
Robbie is the oldest 29-year-old that I've ever known in my life.
True.
So.
I'm not 29 yet, but
20,
Oh.
almost.
Close enough.
You're like
Almost.
weeks away.
Yeah.
Okay.
a month and a half. But yeah,
So
Um,
you're still proving my point.
Wait a minute. When's your birthday?
It was December 5th.
I texted you,
Did you?
didn't I?
I don't know.
Robbie.
Maybe.
I mean, check your.
Robbie, when's your
I'm not
birthday?
checking because
February
I'm pretty
1st.
sure I didn't text him on his. I think I told him the day before and I forgot.
No, you did tell me the day before. I remember.
I'm not looking. You can't prove it.
November 16th, so it's got to be. All right.
No, no.
Yep. December 5th. Happy birthday, bro.
Look at that.
Yep.
I
There you
can't
go.
see it.
I'm a better friend. Write it down. That's how I've always done
Are
it.
you? I said it the day before, so I feel like I got ahead of the game on that.
Yeah, you did beat me in that regard. Okay, you can tell
Yeah,
this
I've always
link
done-
will not be shared much through text message
Yeah.
or email or any other avenue.
Yep. So, anyway, that's how he's always done it. Actually, it doesn't just apply to churches. It's if you have been in any
No.
organization for any length of time, and you know that person on staff that's going to
Steeped.
say,
Yep.
"That's how we've always done it."
Yeah.
Why would we do it that way? That's
We've
how we-
never done it that way.
Right, exactly. So we want to be about some innovation in our churches and our family of churches, and in discipleship too. Right? There are some things that you need to do and continue to do, but there's sometimes the system needs to be challenged.
there's some good change.
Yeah.
Not all change is bad.
I think I'm as aggravated at people who are stubborn and obstinate and late adopters to a thing as I am people who always change something for the sake of changing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And as one who used to do that, like I'm the worst with routines. Okay. Like here's a good example. Do you have the same shower routine every day? Do you guys have to do the same thing every day for your shower routine?
My days are so different. I can't.
Okay. You do. And I think a lot of people, and I've from my non-academic research, people that I've talked to, a lot of people have like the same kind of routine every day. They go in, they turn the shower on at the same time, they grab the soap.
Oh,
first,
that routine. They
do the shower. That's
always.
what I'm talking about. That's what
always.
I'm talking about. Yeah. So it's different for me every day.
Yeah.
I am not, for some reason, I have to shift it up, and it's created in me this desire and this always like wanting to have something new or change something, whatever. And I know that is not for everyone. And so what I've learned is I've got to pull back on how much I like to change things, or how fast or how often I want to change something. And now as I get older too, I actually, I just want to do it right and do it well. And if it needs to be innovated or changed or shifted a little bit, then yeah, let's do that. But change for change's sake is not always a healthy thing.
Yeah,
so.
Truth.
So we're not changing anything on this podcast as we move forward. That means we're staying at long episodes, and and nobody's going to listen to it, but whatever.
Except for a few clingers. Yeah. But we love you.
Yeah, indeed.
And I think there has been some really good innovation and yet tradition along with this. Yeah. The things that make traditions last are the good things. And so I think we've started a few traditions this year that we didn't really even anticipate. However, we wanted to create the space for that to happen. I think this was fun because we didn't try to wrestle it too much. We let it kind of grow into being its own thing, and we're still figuring it out. And next year is going to be a little different, and the year after that will continue to be different. And I'm excited for it. I'm down for the ride. Yeah.
So getting into a little bit more of the content things, we saw that episode 3 was our most listened to episode. It was 149% more streams than our average episode.
Okay.
Which means double and a half more than what people would normally listen to in other episodes. Episode 3 was called You Are Gifted, and Pastor Caleb from Little Creek Church was on that episode. He swears that it's listened to that much because he was on it.
How many of those times, though, was him going back and listening to it himself?
Shots fired.
Yes. Robbie, that's why you have a microphone today.
So I think
no, I love.
What about what's the other episode that Caleb was on?
The following episode, I think.
Was it? How many what percentage was that? Because we could get a trend line here for Caleb.
No, it was the origins. It was episode 5.
Right, yeah.
We can see how successful Caleb is, and if we need to use him more, we can, but I don't think
that one wasn't as high.
Yeah, see?
So
your stock's going down, bro.
Yeah, probably not because of Caleb. Either way, but yeah, episode 3, You Are Gifted was the title. Why do we think that was, why do you think people, latched onto that one?
I'm not sure, to be honest. Part of it might have been just because of the way that it's titled.
Okay.
Yep.
But it could also be just the way that it was shared, maybe. I'd be curious to see what Susan has to say as far as like metrics go from, posting on Facebook and stuff like that.
Going back to Caleb, I do think there is something definitely with how, with search engine optimization, the right wording and titles and it being for people. But just real quick before we really latch onto that one, Caleb came on and he just instantly breaks down any walls. The glass wall you're never supposed to break as an actor or whatever. I'm breaking it right now. Right.
This whole episode is breaking that.
This whole episode is that. Maybe that's a new name of like.
It's the name of the episode.
Behind broken glass walls. He did a really good job. He does a great job on this. He does a great job just speaking and communicating, and he has very, very little self-preservation, and he is just himself everywhere, and you're going to get an authentic Caleb, and I think there's something to that as well. It was also the third one, and they had only heard us the first couple times, and so breath of fresh air, still had a lot of excitement at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
And Caleb did a great job, so I think that does play into it. But the You Are Gifted, I think that really points to the heart of people and the mind of people, and that good selfish pride that we have. That hey, what is that all about? It's pretty interesting at the same time.
Yeah, I think there is certainly, even in the Christian circles, there's certainly a kind of a self-helpism that lingers in our culture. And so I think when you hear something like the "you are gifted" thing, it's pointed at me. It's about me. I'm not calling all of our listeners selfish right now.
It's really hot in our culture, though.
Yeah,
right now.
it is.
It's one of the highest grossing categories for book sales.
Yeah,
if not the highest.
right.
And has been for the last like 20 years.
Right. And so, but the cool thing is the topic that we addressed that day or that episode was about how to leverage your gifting within the church, within the body. Maybe it's because that topic is just not talked about enough, you know? We did a great sermon series through 1 Corinthians a year or so ago, and we got to hit on this, you know, using your gifting within the body. And so we were kind of fresh off of that when we were talking about this. And so I really think that it was a supplemental piece to what we were already teaching in the churches. And I really do think that people juxtaposed to like when you use the word leadership, right? Where when I say you are gifted to serve the body, people kind of receive that as, okay, yeah, God's given me gifts. I can serve the body with my gifts. Yeah, I get that. But when we point the finger at people and say, you need to lead in the church, we don't have an episode like that. But if we talk a lot about leadership, I think people kind of put walls up at first with leadership because they're like, whoa, leadership. You know, I've already got a lot going on in my life. You know, I lead in my home, I lead at my job. So leading in the church that's that next step that I'm not sure.
I'm already at capacity with
right.
everything else. I don't have the capacity to take on more responsibility.
Right, but serving the body, serving God
that feels
in the
good.
church, that feels a little different, right?
Less weighty, but also great. Like there's just, it seems like immediate impact. A lot comes along. A lot of baggage can seem like comes along with leadership.
Yeah.
Because I get to dictate what I'm doing with my time and energy and resources, and I can come in, I can plug in, plug out when I serve. When I lead, that's long-term responsibility over more people and not just myself and my time.
Right. Yeah.
Which makes sense, and I think that's very fair for some people. Like I'd rather you not lead in the church community if you're going to be an unhealthy leader.
Sure.
But therefore, it might be time to take stock of how many teams my children are on, or how many extra hobbies or curricular activities I'm doing.
Yeah.
So that I can create margin to lead in different avenues.
Yeah.
That I'm gifted in.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Any input on the I guess the kind of finger pointing or the giftings and leadings?
I've got one real quick. Just keep thinking though. I think it's a calling up. It's a high calling. And yet we're giving them confidence and saying, look, you can do whatever you dream imaginable because it's not your power, it's God's power in you. And so there's a calling up and recognizing that I'm a lot more capable than I really take myself for.
Yeah, that's good. And we left some resources in that episode too with gifts assessments and those kind of things, some tools to help people make this come to life. Did you want to say something, Robbie?
Yeah, I'm just piggybacking off what John said. I think a lot of people know that they have gifts, but aren't always sure how to use them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think for stuff like this, it's very helpful for people to hear how they can use their gifts for the glory of God.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
So we had 15 episodes and a pilot episode.
Mm-hmm.
We had 11 guests overall, 5 interviews, 60 plus resources, a handful of would you rather questions. And
That was my favorite part.
yeah?
Yeah.
I was going to ask,
No.
out of all of this,
Just
what episode, when you think of this first season, what's kind of that episode that you're like, yeah, that's the one that I would love to recreate more of?
I think the sit down with Aaron episode was my favorite.
Amen. Okay. I would like to do more of talking, please.
Or talking to myself would be great.
Could you please ask me some more good questions?
Yeah,
Yep.
that's on you. No, funny enough, though, that was episode 11, which was my number in sports growing up. Isn't that funny?
Oh, we should have done mine right before that because my number growing up was 10. Well,
too bad.
the Lord is no longer sovereign. We have found out.
So, yeah, favorite episodes. Are we doing like top 3 or like just my favorite that we did the whole time?
Yeah. Top 3.
Okay. Let's see. I really did enjoy our interview with Brad. And he's been a close friend, obviously, with us for a while. So just talking to a buddy is fun. But that conversation was just so rich and deep. I got multiple people that talked to me after that episode that just said, man, thank you for that. Like, first of all, they didn't necessarily know Brad that well. They just maybe heard him preach a few times at my church or something. But I think about 5 people said to me, that was so good, just about the courting that he talked about with his wife and the relationship that they they remained pure through as they got towards marriage and like that progress. And then of course, anything with Brad is going to be a little deeper than normal because that's just what he does and what we do. But that was probably at the top for me.
Same.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Really?
Number 1,
Okay.
probably.
We didn't do this ahead of time.
Yes.
No, we
so,
didn't.
yeah.
Same. Honestly, yeah.
Really?
Really?
Like I like you said, I enjoy talking to Brad in general, but when you were on sabbatical and you were gone that summer, and Brad stepped in, to preach, I got to know Brad a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
And no offense to you or any other pastor, but Brad just has something about him that, like, when he starts talking about things, even if it's super deep and it's something that like I don't completely understand, I can't stop listening to it because it's just so interesting, and the way that he phrases things, and presents it, it's very rich, and I get a lot from conversations with Brad.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
That's a good way to put it.
Sure, he'll appreciate
Yep.
that from you.
It'll probably make his head big, but
Yeah.
No, well.
Yeah. Well, he won't stop talking, so he'll just keep talking and talking and talking about it. And,
that's good. That was a rough summer, but a good summer. Yeah, I enjoyed that summer with Brad. Brad made that a good summer.
it was also 2020, so
Yeah,
yeah,
right. There was a lot going on.
there was a lot.
But no, I loved it. I thought that we were just having one of our old conversations.
Yeah, which is ultimately what started this podcast in the first place, because of some of the conversations that we would have either in the office or in a van in India, that was just like, man, we wish people could hear some of this stuff, because it wasn't, again, like we said, multiple episodes on this about this topic. We've said, like, it wasn't necessarily that we were the best at conversating. It was more about, like, I think it was almost like a wondering, like, do people actually talk about these things? Like, when it comes to spiritual matters, when it comes to discipleship, when it comes to mission, when it, and seeing things through a theological lens, and a depth of life. I think we just really enjoy that, and we want to expose people to that and say, you don't have to just talk about the latest episode of Game of Thrones or insert your favorite, TV show here. let's actually have some real conversations in life. And
Yeah.
I think that's really what birthed this.
Right.
Was, can we show people how to do that?
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
So.
Yep. I think we've accomplished that goal, and I think we're only gonna get better bit by bit.
I can't believe really like that was legit all three of our favorite episodes. And
I know it.
Again, we didn't talk about this
Yeah.
ahead of time, so
Yeah. No, I loved the pace of it, the length of it, like the length. I just listened to it a couple days ago, again, and
you're the devotee, you're the clinger on that episode.
that might have been so. It may have took me a while to get to those, but I did start it a long time ago, and I loved it. I thought with the amount of time that it was, that every minute was still really quality. I felt like we dipped in and out of fun and serious and deep and light, and it was just, like I said, it was a great conversation, getting to know more about somebody that you already feel like you know pretty well, and then you just keep unearthing things, and they become even more interesting and beloved.
Yeah, we had a little segment in the middle of the season or so with episodes 7 and 8 where we leaned into the ladies a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? We talked about women leading in the church in episode 7, and then I don't know, it just happened to work out. What, you were out of town or something, and we needed to record. And I'm like, well, I'm going to bring Katie in and let's have a conversation. And so I have to, not just because she's my wife, but I have to honorable mention episode 8, Story of a Pastor's Wife, because after that, multiple people came up to her and said, I'm sorry, I didn't know, or something to that effect, and that, the things that the pastor's wife has to deal with, and it actually helped mend a particular relationship that was really cool. So I'm grateful for that it came out, that it got to come out that way, and I'm grateful that she got to talk through and process through that. And at the time, I don't know if I have to remember exactly when that was, but she had just started some counseling, and was working through some things, and it was the first time she had ever done that. And so she was very fresh and new into that. And then I threw her onto that episode while she's like dealing with some of the hurt and pain over the last 10 years, and then counseling, and then talking about it on a podcast. And so
processing still a little bit.
So she did a really good job of saying the things that were good and healthy, and not just all of what she was feeling,
right.
But I'd be interested to have another conversation like that with her again sometime soon, because she's kind of on the other side of this, not fully over things, but definitely has walked through a season of processing through how God is, what God is teaching her through the pain and the emotion and the spiritual frustration and all this kind of thing. So yeah, it was good. I think she got a lot out there that needed to get out there, and she's also got a new job now, and she's a very different her than she was back then.
Yeah,
it wasn't that long ago.
Just over the last few months, when did we first release something? I know we've talked about this a little bit before.
The first episode in general?
Yeah, March 28th
the end
was
of March.
The pilot, and then April 4th was the first one. So, yeah, there's been a lot as we look back that's happened in our personal lives, in our friends' lives and families' lives. We've had some death this year. One of our team members is out of town right now for the passing of a family member, and just a lot's been happening, but this podcast and these statistics and the people that we've had involved, I see how the Lord has used it, and already, and just thinking about whenever something like this happens, you write a paper, you write a book, you do a message, it gets posted somewhere. You don't know 6, 7, 10, 15 years later. Just the truth of the gospel. Nothing I said, but the truth of the gospel will continue to be proclaimed until this gets taken down because it's illegal one day.
Yeah. I know you're not joking, but that.
But at the same time, let me go back to my main point, which is God's really. I think it's neat to hear those stats because you know that there's ministry and the Holy Spirit's using them as He will to accomplish His purposes. All we do, we say all the time, success in evangelism begins with going and it ends with telling.
Yeah.
And the results are up to God. And so I feel like there's no pressure when we come in here and we start discussing His truths, and mixed with our ridiculous opinions at times and laughs. But it's beautiful.
Yeah. So let's. Can I totally shift?
That's what I was gonna do. So I was wondering.
Okay.
I was like, hey.
Well, actually, you mentioned a few names. Can you just run through the?
I wanted to. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah,
so
do that.
we were just speaking about your wife, Katie.
Mm-hmm.
She was on here. She was during episode 8. So go check that one out if you missed that one. We also had Susan on here, episode 7. Susan Murphy, who is.
She is our director of communications for Multiply.
And we had Pastor Jordan.
He is the lead pastor on the executive team at OV Church.
Jordan Brown.
Jordan Brown.
And then Caleb Denini, who's pastor at Little Creek Church. And then we have Brad, lead pastor. Nicholas Lombardi.
Yes.
He's episodes 9 and 10, talking
2.
about business as mission and neighborhood church.
Yeah.
I remember those were the days I had
fun,
COVID, and I sound like a complete punk because I was still sick.
Yeah. Those were 2 great episodes, by the way.
They were amazing.
They
Nick
were hard.
Crushed it
because we did them both in a row, I think.
Yep.
So by the end of the second one, I was like totally
I'm glad we had Nick
drained,
because I would have
Yeah.
we would have had to flush those.
He's another guy similar to Brad that like he's I hope he's listening, but he's a big guy. If you've never been in his presence, he's a big dude. So he commands the room no matter what. But his personality is almost it's a little bit like a teddy bear initially as far as like social interaction. He's real chill, real laid back. But when you get him talking about the stuff that he knows about and that he's passionate about, just freaking watch out.
Money.
Because that dude, he is so on point.
Yep.
He believes what he believes passionately, but he presents it with this gentle humility that is confident. And I could listen to him talk about both those subjects, all day because he's really, really, really good at that. So kudos. Props, all the things, Nick.
Yes.
You crushed those 2 episodes. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
They were phenomenal.
Amen. I echo the same. And for Jordan, so I got to hang out with Jordan. We drove back from Liberty together in the car, and we were listening to a couple different albums and just sharing artists. And he had a bunch of stories, and it was amazing to hear some of those stories and just about the artists and the ministries that they had, and then we were cut in and out of our stories.
Yeah,
and I appreciate how he has a reason for why he believes everything he believes. There's hardly anything accidental. I didn't see anything. Within his theology or beliefs, and so I respect that. You typically. Sometimes that can be hard to find. We've got really strong beliefs, but when you come to back them up, it's kind of empty.
I'm not sure that I would call what Tech 9 did ministry, but whatever, if that's what you want to call.
I didn't
what those
share
artists.
that. It's someone else's ministry. At least that's what he says. They say.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. No.
That's good. Who else? Anybody else on that
holding
list?
back a lot of Tech 9 lines right now. Thanks for that.
Anybody else on that list? Did you finish them all?
Not at all.
You looked at me like you forgot
Dylan,
what we were just talking about.
Mark,
Okay.
I did. Eric,
Dylan, Mark, Eric was on.
Mark, Eric. So Dylan, Lebacken, he is from Philly. He was
He's from Pittsburgh.
one of our most.
But he came from Philly.
Well,
By way of the birds.
I'm not going to get any death threats and say the two are the same.
No, don't do that.
I'm joking. That's a joke. And then Mark, exit 4 off of some highway.
Which I looked up,
in
by the
Maryland.
way.
Did you really?
It's off of Jersey Turnpike. And it's literally like outside of Philly. It's
Okay, so
it's the east side. Exit 4 is the east side of what would be the Gloucester City where Dylan was at, is on the west side of the Turnpike.
Okay.
So it's right,
Nice.
kind of all right there.
What did you think of Mark's podcast?
I loved it. Mark doesn't do a lot of those things.
Yeah.
So the fact that he came on was a really cool deal. Was excited about that. And I think, you said it on the podcast itself. You said something like, I feel like I was just like in a Christian coming of age movie or something like that. And I was like, that was perfect because he tells such a good story with the right details and, laying on the beach, hands behind my head, that kind of thing, looking at the stars.
Kite surfing in my cutoff jean shorts on the James River kind of thing.
Did he say that?
No.
Okay. You just added that in there?
No, that's out of John's script that he's writing for his coming of age.
Okay.
I actually just had a guy tell me that last week. He grew up kite surfing on the James River in jean shorts. Okay. So I stole that from another guy, but it was the same vivid imagery that was being used in both similar contexts.
And then,
so that's where it came from.
Again, I think in our reflections on that same episode with Mark, we both said like his anchor is treasuring Jesus, and that's the driving force of what he does. And it's so refreshing. Like, we're, relatively speaking, we're still a bunch of young dudes, just trying to learn and grow and make it as disciples and leaders within the kingdom. But to have a guy in his early 60s that's still saying the same things faithfully that I can only imagine he was saying 20 years ago when he was our age, it's reassuring, it's encouraging, it's all the ings that want to spur me on to love and good deeds.
Yeah. Same. And I can feel the walls of self-preservation rising when I think about those who have gone before us and, just like, what is his perception of us as the younger guys in our late 30s, early 40s?
Because we're doing that, right? With guys like
totally.
in Robbie's age range, we're looking back, like, I remember when I was almost 30.
Yep.
You don't know nothing.
Right. But
I don't.
But now maturing enough
At least
to
you
the
know,
point.
Rob.
Yeah. There's
It's humility, right?
It is, and there's a maturity that recognizes that at one time it would be enough self-preservation to cause you to really doubt and not make any moves or take action.
Yeah.
Now it's, I know I don't know anything, and I'm starting to get a handle on the competence and confidence piece, and so I'll just continue to keep trying because I know that's the process. You just gotta be willing to fail, and be in a safe space for that.
All right. Well, since the glass wall on this thing is broken anyway, I just pointed at Robbie, or pointed at my wrist and looked at Robbie, and he told me we're at 47 minutes or so, and which means
we are comfortable today.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
I'd love to land this plane before an hour if we can. All right. Just to kind of keep it going. So let's do a little bit more of that. What do you got?
Eric.
Yes, Eric.
Robbie and Julie did a commercial for us this year.
She did.
Yeah,
she
and
did a read for
Eric
us.
came on and took care of a lot of the just logistics and processes and the legalities
In the
and
origins.
everything within and the origins,
Yeah.
and how this whole multiply thing started. So appreciate.
I love that
y'all's
we
time.
took until episode 5 to do the origin story. I thought that was a cool move by us to kind of say, hey, here's what the podcast is. Just did a pilot, gospel fluency, you are gifted. What do you do when disaster strikes? And then we got to like, who is this multiply thing anyway? So, but yeah, Eric always gives great, thoughtful detail with that kind of story for sure. So let's do a couple more of these little break in the wall or break in the glass wall things. All right.
Ooh, yeah.
Peeling back, going behind the opening behind the open door, maybe? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Glass door.
A glass door. Behind the open door, there's a glass door. And when you go behind that door, that's when you really know what's going on around here. But just so you know, like every time we recorded, we tried to do, when we were in season or in session, we tried to do like every other week recording, right? That was our goal. We tried to release on Mondays because Robbie tells us that's the best days to release new podcasts. Y'all are bored. What's that?
Start of the week.
Start of the week. Y'all are bored on Mondays. You get that notification at, what is it, 7 a.m.?
6 a.m.
6 a.m. Wow.
6 a.m.
That's because we got military folks that actually get up early around here. And you get that notification at 6 a.m. and you're driving in. You're like, oh, sweet. Behind Open Doors has got a new podcast today, and that was our goal. So at least you can see that notification. I hope you set those notifications, by the way, whether you're listening on Google or Apple or Spotify, and just get notification on that new episode that's coming out. You don't have to download it, you don't have to whatever, but I set it so that it would pop up and say new episode has released, and I'm like, oh yeah, we did record that last week, didn't we? But you're looking at me, and now you're going to set your own things because you didn't do that, did you?
Possibly. I've been telling people this whole season to go turn on notifications, and I've been a hypocrite.
Well, there you go.
Well, John,
maybe
it
that's
helps
why,
a lot.
Maybe that's why we haven't gotten the boost and listen.
Notifications. Spotify, I had to go to, it took me to my settings.
Now, I'll be honest, I don't do it for anybody else. Any other podcast, I don't do that for.
Really? See, I do that with all the podcasts that I listen to that I listen to regularly.
Really?
Because sometimes.
How many is that? I'm just curious.
Including ours, probably 6 or 7.
Okay.
And it's mostly to keep track as a visual reminder to myself. If I get busy with other stuff and I check my notifications on my phone and I'll see, this podcast has a new episode that I want to listen to later.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and download it that I can remember later.
Yeah. Okay. So, did you do it?
You
did?
Notified.
Okay.
Yeah, I got it.
So then every episode we would kind of talk through, all right, what topic are we thinking about? Well, we did that at the beginning of the year. We kind of just said, hey, here's some topics we think we'd want to talk about. And then when it came to actually planning the episode, I would kind of initiate some discussion there. Hey, what do we think about going this direction? And then you would do that as well. But I was usually the one that would kind of write up on the Google Doc, kind of format the episode.
Direction.
Right? Give some, hey, here's the intro. Here's this kind of first initial topic we want to just bat around, and have some fun with, and then get into our main topic. And have a couple of reads in there. I don't know if you guys know this, but some of the stuff we do is we read it. Right now we are not reading, but there are times when we are reading.
That would be impressive if we were reading. I feel like we would get some jobs pretty quick.
Yeah, exactly. Although when we first started, dude, I'm looking at our sheet right now for this episode, and I've got one full page and one paragraph on the second page. But you remember when we first started this, I wrote out like
pages,
4 to 5 pages.
Yep.
Yeah, the first couple episodes were like 5 pages easy.
Yeah, and it was more for me than I think it was for you guys, because I felt the responsibility to try to guide the thing, and I'm not an extrovert. So I thought through the whole episode ahead of time, and those ones took like 3 hours to write up easily.
Do you feel like those were better than the ones that we did more unstructured?
So I don't know if I would say better, but I think so. But that's the thing. We still are doing a pretty decent structure.
We are.
But I don't need as much guidance now. And so I knew that I was writing myself clear, as Mark would say, right?
Yes.
I was writing myself clear at the beginning, and now I had more of a rhythm and a routine about it. So I didn't need as much on the episode doc itself, because I felt more confident going with it. So that was me.
I like it.
So you have a routine with this, but you don't have a routine in the shower.
That's true. Yes.
That's what counts.
I did.
That was a fun season. See you later. Nope.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
So there was one other thing we were going to discuss. No. So speaking of structure and good structure and
right.
being on
and
it,
notes.
this is
We did have something here about resources. Did you want to share anything about resources other
No.
than the fact that we had like 60,
a lot.
a whole lot?
I
think that's one of the things we do well is we try to push resources out. I don't know if y'all are actually using these resources, but we have them, and we want you to use them.
It's this whole thing is a resource
Yeah.
on conversation. We've discussed that, but also we do want you to feel like, hey, you can go to the garage and pick up the right tool or the right principle, or when you're struggling with something. There's a lot of different things on there for leadership and
Yeah, and I think the best tool analogy that you can use is the tool belt, the toolbox, and the tool shed, right? So in the tool belt, you have the stuff that you know that you're going to need readily available, right? We need grace prompting. We need the core groups guide. We need these things that
Circles
we know,
of influence.
circles of influence. The things that we know we're going to use all the time are in the tool belt, right? In the toolbox, where it's maybe a few steps away, but it's got a larger capacity to hold some things.
Yeah.
This is where we've got some.
I don't necessarily
more
have
things
these
available.
tools memorized, but I definitely keep them closer.
Yeah,
Or
for
I've
sure.
used them more recently.
Exactly. And then we have the tool shed that is like, okay, there's actually some stuff in the tool shed that I don't even know that I know how to use.
Right?
But it's there.
Yeah.
And if I ever need it, those pliers that like open, I forget what they're called, but they like open the round thing backwards.
For
And,
the C clamp or whatever it is.
or
It's not a
yeah,
C
it's not a
clamp,
C
but it's
clamp,
it's the ring.
Exactly. Whatever that is.
That thing.
That thing. I've got like one of those.
I do too.
And it's so crappy. Like
Yep.
it's a terrible. I think my neighbor gave it to me like 20 years ago, and I still have it because I didn't have one before, and I still have this one that's janky, but it
Yep.
works. And
It
I
makes
use
me feel so uncoordinated.
and I use it once every 3 years. But it's there, right?
That's
the,
right.
That's
That's
the
good.
tool shed.
Yep. That's helpful. So was there anything this year that you feel like, man, I probably could have gone without saying that or having that?
This is the
Out
regrets. We're gonna do a whole episode on regrets.
What's your regrets of the year? Yep.
No regrets.
Yeah, I don't think I have any regrets either.
No,
I cut 'em
Except
all out.
for
Oh, that is a good one because I will
man.
say I am 16 for 16 in not telling Robbie to cut something out.
I'm
You,
proud
sir.
of my 50%.
You, sir, on the other hand.
That's good for me. Remember
Hey,
what my Enneagram is.
he has he had the ride home regrets. Where he's riding home and he calls up Robbie and he's like,
Hey, Robbie, you're gonna need to take that out, bro. I can't have that out there, man.
50% of the time. I just want to put that out
50%.
there. This is by
I
the
shouldn't
way.
have said that, Robbie.
This is extrovert versus introvert once again.
This is older brother, little brother, right here.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
Yep. Oh man, your stability I appreciate. It brings me a lot of peace and liberty to feel like I can run into brick walls and call Robbie to say, "Ouch!" and
Yeah.
please fix that.
Spoken like a true little brother.
That's right. Yep.
In all seriousness, like that's been a lot of my role in life, and so it's fun and it's funny to poke at, but it's how God uses the circumstances and things around us to wire us a certain way, and we're all gifted in those particular ways to bring it all together.
Yeah. I just, for the first time, I don't know how many self-assessments, I don't know how many gifts assessments, personality tests, I've taken them all. DISC, are you a golden retriever or a, duck or an otter, whatever those are, a lion, and then you've got the MBTI with the INFJs, ENTPs, all that stuff. You got the 5 voices, leadership voice system through Giant worldwide, and then you've got DISC, and I might have already said that, but I just did the Enneagram a couple weeks ago. It's been huge in the kingdom circles for a long time. I was super late to it, but whatever. I
I was
found out
too. I just did
what I
mine,
was. Really?
6, 7, 8 months ago.
Is that it? I
Yeah,
thought
I didn't
okay.
really. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
It's helpful. It filled in some other blanks. I think it was more helpful for me to read about my wife than it was about me on this one in some ways. But they're really confirming, if anything else, right? And you do give another shade of color within there that you might not have picked up before. So it's cool. You just get to see a little bit more of yourself. But what I found and what I came to see after doing that was, and having a conversation with a buddy, and it might have been Caleb, but it's really neat how God has built into our personalities and our DNA and our giftings the things that we're really good at, the things that we have a bent for, and the things that we don't. It's neat to see how he built community into our personalities.
Yeah.
Individually.
Yeah. In different ways. Yeah.
Because I grow and thrive if you're growing and thriving in your personality, right? And your strengths and gifts. I rely on you, just like we rely on Robbie, and Robbie relies on us, and we all complement one another. And that's how we were created with a limited personality so that other people would fill in around us.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, Robbie, any final words before we shut this plane down?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just I've enjoyed this season. I've enjoyed sitting here, mostly listening to you guys.
Number one devotee right here. You get the trophy award. Brad gets the favorite podcast of the season award. I don't know what we're going to call that.
Yeah.
But we'll find you some kind of trophy or not.
I don't care about trophies. You can
Brad
have a
might.
trophy.
I don't know.
That's not my problem.
We appreciate you, Robbie. You've done a lot, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I editing the podcast has been one of the most fun things that I've done job-wise this year. I really enjoy it.
Well, that's cool. Because a little look ahead, there may be more to come. So you better be ready. Get your little editing fingers ready to go.
And
I will if you
yourself.
don't call them that.
Okay. All right. And the last thing I want to say about that, though, is that if you're listening and you are passionate about podcasting and you're excited about this may be looking behind the scenes. These are the kind of episodes that you love because you want to hear. You don't want things to be so structured. You want to know how it works, right? That's perfect because we're trying to build a podcast team right now. No joke. We're looking to expand this little podcast network that we've begun, and we don't even know what that looks like yet.
Yeah.
We're just dreaming a little bit. And so we're going into a dreaming season, what's going to turn into a planning season over the next couple months here. And if you want to be involved on a podcast team, then please, please, please reach out to us and let us know. We would love to have you and love to, well, if you're good, we'd love to have you. But
It's just like,
so,
yep.
sorry. Hey, Robbie, can you cut that out?
Yeah. Whoa. We got him.
Yeah.
First one.
Nope, just joking. I
We
don't
see you get him a little comfortable, and then you mess up.
care. Right. No.
Go say something you really meant.
We, you really meant. That's awesome. No, we would love to have you helping out with one of our podcast teams that's going to be developing over the next year, and it's going to be exciting. So
Yeah, the garage is growing in a sense. We
Yeah.
don't even know what cars are going to fit in there, but maybe a car podcast.
yeah, a car podcast. Yeah. Okay, last check behind the scenes here. Have there been any sports analogies in this episode yet?
I don't think so.
Okay, John has not successfully snuck in.
I was when he
Sports.
said that, I was literally thinking, do cars count?
Yeah,
NASCAR's a thing.
no, they don't. They don't count. No.
I decided to punt on sports analogies this week.
There we go. Nice, good one. Well, hey, I'm ready to end. Are you ready to end?
No, I love this. This is great.
Well, we went over an hour now.
Yeah, I know.
So-
We told Robbie to keep us on track, and he's just enjoying listening. And no,
Give him a
Robbie,
microphone. And
I
he
feel
just
like
wants to-
I feel like we didn't give you enough thanks, but maybe we did. Love you, bro.
It was plenty.
You've done great.
It was plenty
it's been
of
good,
things.
and I'm excited for next year, and I hope that you can just continue reproducing yourself and your work and building into others. And who knows what's going to happen in the future and what God's going to use us for.
So, hey, let's end this way. This, my friends, is what we call a read to end. So open up your little phone there since you don't have your laptop today. And let's read to the end. And this will be the end of season 1. Here we go. Ready? One of the primary roles of Multiply is to equip our family of churches with the resources they need to multiply disciples, leaders, and new churches. New churches are led by planters and teams who are prepared in our pathways to planting with the Times 12 Church Planting Network, times12.org. Leaders are developed using our leader pathway. Disciples who want to grow as disciples of Jesus can access our disciple-making toolbox, and both of those are available at multiplythechurch.com. So as we finish up season 1 of Behind Open Doors, we want to remind you this podcast is written, produced, and distributed all in the Multiply family. Your giving to the Multiply Project makes this possible, and we are so grateful for the support structure that exists in our family of churches. You can give to the Multiply Project by making a pledge with us or by one-time donation at multiplythechurch.com.
For now, it's time to close down the podcast. But remember, the doors are wide open here, especially as we open them back up for the next season. They'll be thrown back wide open here with you guys, the Multiply family, and all those others outside of the Hampton Roads area that are listening in. If you found this podcast helpful, please be sure to subscribe, leave a review. For goodness sakes, turn your notifications on, people. We've been asking forever. Please be sure to subscribe, leave a review. This helps us to be seen by other folks who may enjoy a behind-the-scenes discussion like this. This one especially. I'm actually, as I read this, I wonder if this is going to be our most listened to one, as we've been most unhinged. You can join our Facebook page.
Probably not.
And the probably not. And continue the discussion with us about the episodes.
And finally, you can share this episode and others to your social media pages. You've been listening to the Behind Open Doors podcast, where we take you behind the scenes, discovering what it takes to multiply disciples, leaders, and new churches. Let the word dwell richly in you, and may God multiply your efforts for the kingdom.